Welcome to the world's first technology for complete tamper-proof drugs of abuse testing. The revolutionary TamperLok's device eliminates all possibilities of intervention in testing urine for drugs of abuse across a range of industries. Current methods of urine collection can result in cheating. Urine specimens are affected by adulterations, alterations, and substitutions, and there are many legal implications. Above all, current methods are laborious and often messy. But TamperLok's, with its 21 patented features, provides an effective, hygienic, integrated, secure sampling and testing system. Its tamper-proof and leak-proof 3-chamber cup consists of an interlocking lid and seal, providing a solution with teeth to securely lock in the sample. This industry-leading design allows for zero intervention and a unique QR code for series number and product details, making tracking samples and storing data easy. The drugs of abuse test strips are visible through an outside window, and one TamperLok's device can test for multiple drugs.
So joined here today by Marcus Lestrange, the chairman of NeoPharma Technologies. Welcome, Marcus.
Thanks, Nick.
So Marcus, look, we'll kick off with the first question. Can you tell us a bit about who NeoPharma Technologies is and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so NeoPharma Technologies is an Australian public company. We established ourselves in 2017, and we have a drugs of abuse testing solution that involves both hardware and software, and is a real disruptor in the market and filling a gap of no technological innovation in the drug testing industry over the last decade. So we're poised for commercialisation this year in the Australian mining industry off the back of getting our TGA approval, which is expected in about a month. We already have medical device approval in Indonesia and Malaysia, and we also have some very large contracts that will be rolling out there most likely next year. Our trials in those countries were put on hold in the pandemic, but are expected to take place next year. And just between those two opportunities in Indonesia and Malaysia, that's about 3 million units annually, and we currently have a break even of about 300,000 units annually. So quite exciting times ahead for the upside.
Great. And so, Marcus, you're raising some funds at the moment. What are those funds going to be applied to?
The funds are predominantly going to be applied to expanding our production capacity to meet demand. We already know that if all goes well with the Australian mining industry, we'll be looking at orders in the millions of units per annum. At the moment, we have one hard mold with a capacity of 50,000 units per month. So we will be looking to get 1 or 2 more hard molds, and also some of the funds will be targeted for a little bit more software development.
So Marcus, tell us about the gap in the market that you see for NeoPharma Technologies.
Yeah, certainly. There hasn't been much innovation in the drug testing industry over the last decade. And what our solution does is brings very real time and cost saving solutions to our clients by essentially automating the process and removing a lot of the bottlenecks that currently exist in the process. So there's two parts. There's the large time and cost savings, and then there's also the whole tamper-proof side. So reducing the amount of fraud and cheating that can go on. But I guess with regards to the time and cost savings, we had a good case study via our distributor out of Indonesia, and using their existing drug testing procedures, they used about 5 people, and in 1 hour they were able to test 60 people in the workplace or donors. Using our technology, they were able to reduce that to using 2 testers to test up to 60 people an hour. So quite a significant time and cost savings for the clients, and the larger scale the drug test programs, the more efficiencies are made.
So what's the size of the market that you're looking to get into?
Yeah, so the world drugs of abuse testing market is currently sits at about $6 billion USD annually, and it's growing quite rapidly, and it's expected to get to about $13.5 billion annually by 2027.
Yeah, right. And so what are the core markets and streams that you can see yourselves getting into?
Yeah, well, everyone will be familiar with testing of athletes in the sports industry, and that's certainly a sector, but by far the largest sector globally is pre-employment testing. So in Australia, a lot of people will be familiar with testing to go onto mine sites. The same thing happens for testing going onto oil and gas platforms, building and construction sites. And then there's a lot of other verticals as well. There's testing in the military, in prisons, with border control. So there's quite a few industry verticals that already conduct drug testing, albeit quite inefficiently relative to our new solution. So we're really hoping to introduce a lot of time and cost savings to our clients, as well as create safer workplaces.
Great, no, thanks for that. So I suppose it'd be good now to touch on how the TamperLok product actually works, and if you can sort of give us a bit of a description on the IP and technology that sits within it.
Yeah, certainly. So as mentioned, there's two parts. There's hardware and software. So the hardware is essentially it's a urine cup. Now at the moment, current drug testing practice uses two cups, an A sample and a B sample. The A sample, they're both taken in the field, but the A sample is tested in the field. If there's a positive result from the A sample, it gets sent back to the laboratory, and the B sample is the one tested in the laboratory, and that's the one that gets the athlete suspended or the worker suspended. So there's actually quite a lot of loopholes that can be exploited there. And what we've introduced is a single cup with a 3-chamber cup. So you have essentially both your A sample and your B sample in the same cup. So one cup can't be substituted out with a clean cup of urine. And what we do, we've got a QR code. Sorry, I'll get just there. And it sits just above the drug test strips. So we have the second part of our solution is an app on your smartphone, a DataVault app. Now the tester will take a picture of the drug test strips as well as the QR code, which is recorded instantaneously into the cloud. And that result can't be tampered with. Currently, a lot of those results are being written down manually and they can be tampered with. So in addition to having the secure collection, transfer and storage of the data with the app, the TamperLok's cup actually has 21 patents, and each of those individually address loopholes that are currently being exploited in drug testing.
Yeah, sure, interesting. And so obviously you've got the product, it's ready to go to market, you've got a lot of interest and traction out there. Now, how are you going about attracting customers and partnerships, and what are your distribution plans?
Yeah. Well, we've tried to keep a very lean corporate model. We outsource both our manufacturing and distribution, but probably more importantly, with regards to sales and marketing, we, rather than building our own large sales and marketing force, we're relying on distributors in countries and industry verticals that have established networks already, and they're already supplying drug testing services, and where they look at our product and service and like it, and we're looking to swap out their existing products and use our product into an existing pipeline of sales. So an example of that is the Australian mining industry. Earlier this year, we signed up a distributor, MD Solutions, for exclusive distribution of our product and service in Australia.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Any other sort of major partnerships that you've got in place that are worth mentioning?
Yeah. So we've got quite a few partnerships and partnerships under discussion. So, certainly our main one there where we're looking to commercialise first is MD Solutions via the Australian mining industry. But also we've done a lot of work in Asia pre-pandemic, and we're working with government agencies with a top-down approach, and in both Indonesia and Malaysia. And we were just about to roll out large-scale trials of the product in Indonesia across all of their universities with follow-up orders of about 1.5 million units annually. And then the pandemic hit and universities have been shut down. They're expecting those campuses to reopen next year, and our trial's been put on hold. It hasn't been cancelled, and we're looking to pick that up again next year. But in the meantime, we've pivoted towards Australia. Likewise, in Malaysia, where we were just set to roll out our solution with the Malaysian National Police Force there, and that got put on hold more because they were refocusing the police resources on policing COVID restrictions in that country. But they're two quite large markets there that we're looking to re-engage once COVID restrictions allow.
So Marcus, tell us a bit about your revenue model.
Yeah. Well, we look to make about $3 Australian per unit sold. And obviously our distributor also has their markup on top of that, but that's our baseline. And we expect that profit margin, which currently for us sits at about 50%, to increase over time as the volume of orders increases.
And where do you see break even?
Break even is only about 300,000 units a year. We've got a very lean corporate model. We have 3 employees in Australia and 4 employees in Malaysia, where we do our manufacturing. And as mentioned before, we outsource the manufacturing and distribution. So that's enabled us to keep our overheads quite low.
And so based on the pipeline you've got coming through, how do you see the growth in sales of the cups over the next sort of 1, 2, 3 years? Yeah.
Well, our first order in the mining industry, once we get the TGA approval, will be for 50,000 units. And but we expect that.
Is it?
Per month, yes. And we expect that to increase quite rapidly to over 1 million units per year across quite a few mine sites in Australia. So the Indonesian universities is around 1.5 million. It's about 1.3 million we're looking for the police force in Malaysia, but they're single verticals. So I guess a point to make is that our supplier, or our distributor in Australia, MD Solutions, they supply into multiple industry verticals currently, and they're really rolling it out initially in the Australian mining industry, but off the success off the back of that, they'll start rolling it out into logistics, air, land and sea, building and construction, oil and gas, and several other industry verticals that they're currently supplying drug testing services to.
Great. So obviously a very large market and opportunity that you've got mapped out. It's a matter of just that commercialization inflection.
Yeah, and really, I think from here on in, other than a bit of software development, most of the money will be thrown at expanding production capacity to meet demand.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned DataVault 2.0. Can you give us a bit of a snapshot on that as well? Yeah.
So I'll start with DataVault 1.0. We developed that over probably about 3 years, and a lot of that time was spent really getting the encryption right and making it very secure, and also to make it scalable and easily tailored to clients' individual needs, because one of the things we realized is that drug testing standards in Australia are different to in Malaysia, different to Indonesia. Every country has their own set of requirements. Some people have to produce a license, some a social security card. So we've made it very adaptable. What we are now finding after liaising with the mining industry is that they were really excited by using DataVault to not only collect and manage drug testing results, but also using it as a point of contact with the donor or the worker. So similar to how it works with getting your COVID injection or vaccine, where they provide an app where the donor enters in their own personal data, and then when they present to the testing desk, it's just cross-checked with their license. So it removes this bottleneck that currently exists on the mining site. DataVault is the jewel in the crown in the data collection, and it streamlines a lot of the processes to create a safe working environment in controlled workspaces.
Interesting. So look, Marcus, I suppose a question for you, and one that our investors always like to know is, what is it that excites you most about the NeoPharma technology opportunity?
Well, I think it's a truly disruptive technology, particularly on the digital side. It's a real digital disruptor. It's the first time that this technology has been brought into play with drug testing. Obviously, in the likes of supermarkets and the like, that they've been using barcodes for years, scanning, and it makes the process much faster at the cash register. Well, with drug testing, while they do all the drug tests, a lot of that's done manually, and then the recording of the data is all done manually. So our product and service removes a lot of the human part of the process, and also reduces room for error, room for human error in the process as well. So as I say, yeah, it's a very disruptive technology. A lot of the end users that are looking at it are just looking at it and like, why hasn't this been done years ago? But we seem to be in the right place at the right time, particularly now that the amount of testing is ramping up on sites, and we're able to include COVID tests as well.
Great. And your short to medium term horizon, what are your plans around that?
Yeah, well, we are looking to list on the Australian Stock Exchange mid next year, based on a revenue multiple, where most new companies list at, I think there's a minimum requirement of 20 cents a share to list. We expect to be able to list at a premium to that, based on a revenue multiple. Also, I guess, based on our low overheads and the lean corporate structure that we have in place, we expect to be able to, once we've scaled up production and there's a lot more profits coming in, we do hope to be able to issue up to 25% dividends returns annually for our shareholders.
Well, thanks, Marcus, for that great overview of the business, and we look forward to working with you on the raise. And with any final messages you want to leave for the investors and viewers?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is that we've got a game-changing solution with no other real competitors out there in the market, and we're looking forward to commercialising it properly this year, going to IPO next year, and growing the company quite rapidly over the next couple of years. So it's an exciting time to be on board. So thanks for your time as well, Nick.
Thanks.